Good afternoon, folks. My name is JP Hood, and I'm a real estate investor from Erie, Pennsylvania. Yes, a real estate investor. It feels great to say that. It really does, because a year ago today, I was nowhere near real estate. I was nowhere near becoming an investor. I was nowhere near of owning a property. And in one short year, I changed my life dramatically. In this video, I'm going to show you how I changed my life step by step, what it took, the processes that it took. And if you enjoy it, follow me. If you don't, no harm, no foul. So I'm going to start out by saying 1 year ago today, I was working a job, 9 to 5 job, but it was more like a 9 to 6, 9 to 7 on call, being on the weekends, taking up a lot of time in my life, working this job that, I was really working the job. The job was working me. I got to a point where I was thinking in my head, I said, you know what, I need to do more with my life. I need to do something that's going to be, that's going to change my life for the good. I didn't know what it was going to be. I knew I wanted to get into some investing. I knew I wanted to kind of, go a different route. I've always, had an entrepreneur mindset. And I wanted to kind of see that, but I couldn't not get a paycheck, and I couldn't not continue to work. I worked for the last 5 years, every day, went to college, got a degree. And, it was embedded in my mind that you had to work a 9 to 5, or you had to work a 2 to 10, or you had to work nights, weekends, whatever you had to do, you had to just work. I didn't realize, there's other ways that people are generating income, and people are making money by doing simple things that could set you up for a long-term growth, So where I want to start with this is how I changed my life exactly a year ago. I was sitting at my desk, and it really hit me. I said, you know what? I don't even know what I'm spending my money on. I don't even know how to track what I'm spending my money on. I didn't know what I was doing with it. It was just, I thought I had all this money, and I was spending money here, spending money there. My check would come, and I would do this and that. So the first thing I wanted to do was, hey, I'm going to eliminate some expenses. I'm going to look at my costs and see what I'm spending on a weekly basis that I can eliminate. And the biggest thing that I looked at was, food expenses. I was eating lunch at the office every day. We had a kitchen down in the basement, and they made great food, but it was also a little, it wasn't too pricey, $5-6 a day. But if you times $5-6 a day, let's say $5 a day for lunch times 5, I'm spending $25 a day, or $25 a week on lunch, and then if you do that 52 weeks a year, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that I could be saving, that I could be going into something if I just started packing my lunch. That's a simple thing. That's not going to dramatically change your life, but it could. The biggest thing I did was, I looked at and I said, what do I want to do in a year? What could be some realistic expectations? And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to start learning about different things, and learning about things that I could be passionate about. So one day, actually, it was April 12th, 2019. I wrote on a yellow sticky note, I said, this is going to be the day that I'm going to look back on, and it's going to be a very memorable day. I'm going to have more money. I'm going to have more time. I'm going to have more freedom. I'm not going to be, so worried about the next paycheck. I'm not going to be worried about this. And I worked, and I started busting my tail and getting things kind of figured out. I just didn't know what I was going to get involved within. I didn't know what I was going to invest in. I didn't know what was the next step. So I kind of continued on what I was doing, but I always had that in the back of my mindset. I said, you know what, I want to start investing. I want to start doing something different. And I didn't know when my aha moment was going to come. And I knew if I started eliminating simple things like lunch expenses and certain things like that, that something good would come, because I'd start to, have more money, and my mindset, just changing your mindset is what the biggest thing was, and being able to look at the bigger picture differently. So funny story, how I really got into real estate. It's crazy how I look back on it, and this is like the pivotal moment. Was my brother called me, and he said, hey Jay, any chance that you could fill in for our Thursday night bowling league? Brad, his buddy Brad can't make it. And I was like, you know what? Sure. I love bowling. I haven't bowled in a while. This could be something, me and my brother get to hang out more, spend some more time with him, get to meet some of his friends, and go from there. So I went to the bowling event on Thursday, and I knew one of his other friends, Kyle, and my brother, and then me, and then his other buddy Travis. I didn't really know Travis, and I was like, "Oh, hey man, how you doing?" And he's like, "Oh, what's up, little hood?" Because he only knew me as my brother's little brother, and so he asked me what I do, and I was telling him what I was doing, and I kind of found out that he was a business professor at Penn State Barron, which is, a local college in the area, and my brother was like, "Yeah, also he owns a couple houses." I was like, "What do you mean you own a couple houses?" And he was like, "Yeah, I got some rental properties that I do for student housing." Since he's a professor, he kind of, had some pool with kids in college. And I was like, that's kind of cool. Like, I've always knew what real estate investing was, but I didn't know that people like my age were involved in it. I didn't know that like it was something that a lot of people were involved in. So I kind of dug a little bit deeper with him, and I was like, "Hey man, what else do you kind of do? Like how many houses do you own? Like financially, like how much do you make on it? Is that weird to ask? How much are you making on this? Like what are your duties like as a landlord? What do you have to do on a day-to-day basis?" And he kind of went over a little bit, but didn't go into too much detail. He said, he didn't want to tell me everything all at once because I wouldn't remember it. And I was like, okay, cool. I was like, so what would be something that I could do to kind of learn more about real estate? He was like, go kind of learn, just Google things, look online. He's like, are you a big reader? I was like, I'm not a huge reader, but I could get involved in some reading. He told me about a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, which sounded cool. Actually, I got it right here. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. This was the first real estate book that I actually ever read. And I don't want to go into detail with it, but it's a great book. If you're interested in just getting involved in real estate or changing your mindset from an employee mindset to a investor mindset, this is a great book for it. Kind of gives two examples of two different dads. One dad does something, one dad does the other. I don't want to really go into too much detail. And it talks about who is the smarter dad or who is the rich dad in the situation. So I recommend this, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Great book. And he recommended a couple other books that I can kind of go into on a later episode. And he told me more about things like you just need to learn. He's like, there's no easy way into it. There's no, it's not, hey, I want to become a real estate investor today, tomorrow, and I'm in. He's like, you got to kind of learn. So the story continues as I'm like, hey, I kind of want to learn more. So I want to talk to Travis more, but I didn't want to be like that weird dude that's calling him up and saying like, hey, Travis, like, blah, blah, blah. Can you teach me more about this? I know you're busy with your professor life and all that stuff. So funny thing happened was I guess Brad couldn't make it to a lot of the bowling events on Thursday night. So my brother said, hey, can you be the permanent fill-in for the rest of the season? And I was like, yeah, man, like this is my in. This is how I go and talk to Travis every day. He's the only person I really know that does a lot of real estate. And so what I would do is I would like study during the week, and I'd be like, oh, I'd learn some cool terms of real estate and stuff like that. And then I'd go to bowling on Thursday, and I'd be like, hey, Travis, how's your cap rate? How's investing going? And he'd be like, oh, that's cool. You learned some new knowledge and stuff like that. And so I would just kind of continuously ask him things and just kind of like pick his brain every Thursday. I got so excited, like bowling night, like I didn't really care about bowling. I just cared more about going and talking with Travis. I was like, have a beer, talk about some real estate, a little bowling on the side. Wasn't too good at bowling. So then that kind of passed, the season ended, and I was like, you know what, I'm still working this job. I'm super into real estate at this point, like, but I just didn't know what the next step was. And so I knew I needed to continue to save and do all this different types of stuff. So I was saving everything I could. I even had a part-time job. I'm still currently a part-time valet at the local club in Erie called the Erie Club. I do that about 2-3 nights a week, make some extra money, and that's kind of how I was saving extra, paying rent, doing all this stuff, and just realizing, I need to save more, but didn't know how. So the next thing was I contacted Travis. I got his number through my brother, I think it was, and I was like, hey man, you want to go get dinner one of these nights? And I just want to pick your brain a little bit more about some real estate investing and like how I can buy my first property. And he's like, all right, cool. So we went and got sushi, I think it was. It's weird that I still remember all these exact dates that happened. And so I go and have sushi. I actually took my buddy Ryan Ryan Crosby, if you're listening, shout out. Love you, brother. He's in Kuwait. Ryan's in Kuwait right now. But I took him and we went and had sushi with my buddy Travis. And Travis kind of explained to us about how to buy a house and step by step what we needed to do. And I realized, hey man, I don't even have 20% to put down on a house if I even want to. So this is in probably May, June, something like that. And I was like, you know what? So I need to get back, keep studying and keep saving. So I was saving. And he kept checking in on me, but I wouldn't really say I was super involved in it. Kind of put it on the back burner. Work was getting a little busy. It was summer, we're hanging out, going on the boat all the time. And so he kept checking in on me. He's like, hey JP, how's things going? What's your savings looking like? He's like, are you anywhere near getting this house? Are you anywhere near doing this and that? And honestly, that was like another big brotherly thing. He kept checking on me and just saying, hey man, I know you really want to do this. You told me this before. You really want to do this, so continue to do this. Don't let this slide, because it's easy to let this slide. It's easy to like put this on the back burner and not really go for it. And so a couple months pass and I'm still not doing too much. I'm just saving. That's basically the main thing I was doing. I was saving. I was reading more. I was reading more about real estate, and I'm working, and I'm just trying to figure out what I can do, how I can get to the next point. I'm looking on Realtor, Zillow, looking on these different things, and just trying to figure out what I want to do next. Kind of looking for properties, but the biggest thing they say is don't look at properties until you get pre-approved, because then it gives you unrealistic expectations of what you want to buy. Like if you look at a beautiful $1 million house and then you only get pre-approved for $200,000, what you're going to buy for $200,000 is completely different than what you're going to buy for $1 million. So the biggest thing is don't get your expectations up too high. So the biggest thing was just kind of saving. At this point, I'm still saving in my life, and I'm still working at this job, and I'm just, I'm getting frustrated every day because I'm, work's stressful, and I just want to do something different. But I didn't know how, and I've been at this company at this point for a year and a half, and I'm just, I don't want to do something different or make less money or do something crazy. And so at this point, I'm still saving and just kind of doing that. Summer's happening, and another crazy thing happens. So I'm with my friend Matt, who is a good buddy of mine. I've known him since college, and he invites me and my girlfriend and my mom to his girlfriend's new work. It's a new company that was starting up in Erie called Mama Mia's Boutique. He invites me to his girlfriend's like opening thing. The store was opening, and I was like, okay, cool. Like my mom would love this stuff. It was kind of a boutique that, it had different types of earrings and stuff like that, and just kind of just cool stuff that my mom and my girlfriend would like. And I was like, this would be cool to go support my friend and his girlfriend, a new business in Erie. So we kind of got all ready, went to the thing, and while we're at the event, turns out I run into a buddy of mine from growing up. Like I haven't seen this kid since I was probably 16 years old. So maybe I was 26 at the time. I'm 27 now. Maybe 10 years ago. I haven't seen this kid, maybe just on Facebook. And I run into him. His name's Austin. And I run into him and I'm like, hey man. He's like, what up, JP? And I was like, haven't seen you in forever. So we get to talking. I find out that this guy is a mortgage broker. So he is a mortgage broker. And I was telling him, I was like, hey, I've been really trying to get involved in some real estate. And he's like, well, what's stopping you? And I was like, well, I just don't know if I could get pre-approved or get approved for a loan. I could go through my credit union. He was like, well, why don't we sit down and we run some numbers and I see what I can do for you. And I was like, well, that's cool. I was like, I didn't really know. I don't know any other mortgage brokers at this time. And so we get together. I go to his house and he gets me pre-approved for a loan on a house. Like he gets me pre-approved in less than an hour. It was the craziest thing. He's like, listen, you can get approved for. He said, you don't really want to spend as much as you got approved for, because, at the end of the day, you're still paying it back. He got me pre-approved for an FHA loan. And next step was he asked me, do I know any realtors? Do I know anybody that can help me go look at houses? I was like, not really. He was like, well, let me introduce you to this duo team that I think would be awesome for you. They kind of specialize in investments and investor working with investors and stuff like that. So shout out to Sam and Nathan at Marsh & Marsh. You guys helped me so much, and it kind of made the whole process way easier than I thought it was going to be. So you guys rock. So first thing we did was we looked at 3 or 4 properties, I think it was. We went through this one property that I still have etched in my brain. It was, it was a gorgeous place, but you walk inside and it looked like hoarders were living in there, and there's pathways to the rooms. But sure enough, there was a brand new TV upstairs with Mountain Dew bottles all over the place, and food was crusted on the corner, like the counters and stuff like that. It really didn't sit well. I thought somebody must have just like left this house and they moved out, but sure enough, there was a family living there, and it was actually super, super sad, super disgusting. But it made me appreciate kind of where I live and the cleanliness of it all. But after that, they kind of showed me at this one property that I fell in love with, and I was super excited. And I was like, you know what, this is the house I wanna put an offer in on. So we put an offer in on the house, and then the current owner counter offered us and didn't want to take our offer, said it was a little too low. So then we countered back, and it kind of went on for a little bit. But then we ended up getting the house, and everything was kind of moving smoothly. The next step was just kind of getting all the paperwork and everything in line and go from there. And at this point, we're probably in September. So go from April to September. I'm now pre-approved. No, I wouldn't say September. I would say now we're in August, like middle of August, we get pre-approved. And then we're setting for a closing date. Like we get everything kind of taken care of. And now the paperwork side begins, and my mortgage broker, Austin, he kind of took it all, and ran with it, and then just kind of everything's super online now. So everything gets sent through an email. So I never really had to go see him. Everything was just faxed over, or, something was, if they needed something, I was able to go get it. We had a couple little hiccups because of my car got in an accident in July. And so then the way the money came into the bank, it looked like it was something different. But we got that all taken care of, and it was actually super easy. And I thank Austin so much because it made the process, enjoyable. And it actually was, I learned a lot during the whole process. And what's cool is that whole process in that moment, I didn't know that moment was going to set me up for even more experience in the future. I'm getting to that in a moment. But let me just tell you that there's some more crazy stuff that happens in this year. So at this point, we're in August. We get everything kind of going. We're getting into September. Our closing date is set for like middle of September, but then it ended up getting pushed back because the current owner was in Italy and wasn't home. So we had to wait till she got home. And then when I got my FHA, they kind of critique a lot of things more, look at different things. So she needed to fix a bunch of stuff at the property before I could take ownership. And so that took a little bit of time. Well, we got that all kind of covered up and done. So we ended up closing in the middle of October, I want to say. So October like 10th or 11th. So that makes it exactly 6 months ago from today. So about 6 months ago from today is when I closed on my house. The whole stuff went, and it was awesome. And I brought my buddy Travis to the house. He loved it. It was awesome. He was super excited with me. And at this point, we're 6 months. This is 6 months since I put that note, that yellow sticky note that said April 12th, 2019 on my computer. And I'm still working. I'm currently working at the company at this time. And I'm already amazed at what 6 months could do in my life. And I'm just thankful that I'm at this point. I'm like, holy crap, I'm buying a house. I'm 26 years old. I'm buying a 3-unit apartment complex that I own. Like I'm living in the bottom half, and I'm renting the second and third floor. I haven't really got into the details about that. I'm going to be making another video that I break down all the numbers and stuff like that and kind of show you how I got my first deal. So tune in for that. But I'm at this point, I'm 26. I never bought a house. Like the biggest thing I ever bought before was a car. I'm super excited, and I had a great team on. I had a great set of realtors. I had a great mortgage broker. I had their whole team, and then we had our lawyers and all this stuff that was taking it all. It was awesome. It was super awesome, and it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be because we broke it down step by step. So it was like one thing was this, we did, we would get past that and we go to the next one. So step by step. And I think if we break it down step by step, it makes it, makes the process, easier and not as stressful and stuff like that. So it was awesome. Also, shout out to my girlfriend, Shannon. She kind of put up with me throughout this whole time. I know there were some moments that I was a little bit stressed out and I might not have been, the nicest person to be around, but we got it through. It's a big investment for my future, my family, my, my life. And that was the big thing for me was, I wanted to set myself up for a long-term thing. This isn't for an immediate growth. This isn't to become a millionaire overnight. This is simply to, invest and make something so that 30 years from now, I look back on this and I say, this was the pivotal point that changed my life. And I love that I get to share it with you guys. So if you enjoy this, please put a thumbs up, and follow or subscribe, I guess it is on YouTube. So subscribe, because we're going to be talking about more. We have all the time in the world, coronavirus going on, everything going on. I don't have too much going on. So it's kind of, posting videos, doing some cool stuff. But back to this. So we get the house, we do our final walkthrough, and that is where something goes wrong. So the final walkthrough, we go to this house, the house, and the bottom floor was the floor that I was moving into. And we get there and I knock on the door and I'm like, hey, I'm just here to do a final walkthrough, thinking the owner let the current tenants knew that we were taking over, because the owner sent us a picture to the bank so that they knew that we were taking ownership of the bottom floor, because I had to live in one unit for the FHA loan. So we get there and the family is kind of caught off guard, they said, and there was a whole issue, and they didn't know they were moving. So at that point, things got a little tricky, but we ended up getting through it. It ended up taking them about 4 months to get out from that point. I was kind of very nice with it. I didn't want to, push them out, especially, it was getting close to the holidays and stuff like that. But they ended up not moving out till December. So 3 months it took them from that point, from October, November, December. It took them 3 months, and they destroyed the property when they left. It was kind of a mishap. They destroyed the whole unit. They broke my oven. They left dog feces everywhere. They kind of left dirty rugs. I can post a video all about that. I have all these pictures and videos from that point too. So if you guys are interested in hearing about how I did my first eviction on my first property, that is next on it too, that we can do that as well. But after we got the whole house and everything kind of done, I was excited. I was like, wow, I'm going to be collecting rent checks now. So it was awesome. It was, we're on our journey. And so I went and I kind of met with my second and third floor tenants, got them, new leases with my leases signed with my, what I wanted, what I expected out of my tenants and everything. Cause I wanted them to feel like they were, that they weren't, being evicted, because the bottom floor just got evicted, but there were some issues with that as well. So I got the second and third floor taken care of. Everything's going smooth. Let's jump ahead to December. The tenants on the first floor are out. I start redoing the place. We start putting paint, kind of fixing it all up. It costs a bunch of money. I can break the numbers down in a later video if you guys are interested. And so now we're living in it. So now it's January. It's winter in Erie, Pennsylvania. If you guys don't know, we have a lot of snow. We get a lot of snow. So I had to line up a plow driver too. That's one of the things that people don't tell you about. But what was weird is my driveway was a little bit, it was a smaller driveway. So the plow driver that I was going to have, his truck was too big, couldn't fit through it. And he didn't tell me till the last minute. So we had a snowstorm and I'm calling around. Luckily I found my buddy Jason. So shout out to Jason. He hooked it up. I didn't know he was a plow driver, and I found him on Facebook. He said, hey man, I heard you were looking for somebody. I'm right in that area. So he helped me out a ton. But luckily we didn't have a crazy winter, so didn't have to use too many plows. Got that all kind of taken care of. Now we're, January, February, living in the house. Oh, I missed a step. So during this whole while I'm trying to evict this tenant out, I'm trying to the house is all done, the closing is all done, everything's all done. I own this house. during this time, I'm still working at my full-time job, and they kind of transferred me. They asked me if I wanted to go on a stretch assignment to go help out a struggling office in Buffalo. And I was like, you know what, this could be good for my career if the real estate isn't working, if something else wasn't going, there's more money involved. And so I was like, sure. So I went down to Buffalo, and I was in Buffalo for about 2 months. And I was coming home, once or twice a week to check on the property, kind of get things straightened out, coming home on the weekends. My girlfriend was still in town, and it kind of stressed me out being down in Buffalo, and I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really enjoy being out there. And so this gets me to the next point of another step of how I dramatically changed my life. So while I was down there, I was sitting in the hotel, and I was looking on Indeed, and I was just thinking, I was like, what can I do to get back to Erie? And I love real estate. At this point, I'm like, even though all this bad stuff just happened, I'm still positive and smiling, because I had that mindset. I wasn't going to let anything take me down. I wasn't going to let some negativity, some negative situations happen, get through it all, So I was looking on Indeed, and a job popped up, and it was to be the director of real estate recruiting for the same company that I bought my house from. How crazy is that? The same company I bought my house from. So I sent him my resume, and within like an hour, he calls me. His name is Joe Herbert Realty. And I kind of knew of him. I didn't know too much about the company. I didn't know too much. And he was like, hey man, I got your resume. I'd love to sit down and talk with you. So I went and I met with him on a Sunday when I came home from work, and yeah, things happened. He ended up hiring me to be the director of recruiting for his company, which means that I would be, meeting with new real estate agents and bringing them onto the team, and kind of basically doing like recruiting and marketing and cool stuff for the company. And I was like, yo, this is what I really want to do. Like, I was like, this is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. But we didn't know. It was a new position for his company, so he didn't really know when we could start. I was like, okay, that's cool. This is like Christmas time to January, New Year's and stuff like that. So there was a lot going on. He was like, let's wait till the holidays pass, and then we can get things started. And one of the things he really wanted was for me to become a real estate agent. And I was like, Joe, that's something I've been interested in. I was like, honestly, while I was down in Buffalo sitting in this hotel, I was thinking about just getting my real estate license for PA, just for fun, because I thought, hey, if I get a real estate license, my next property I buy, I could buy it as a real estate agent and then use some of the commission as down payment for the house, and just try to buy another house with lesser money and all that stuff. So he was like, awesome. Like he was excited for me to become a real estate agent on top of that. So currently right now should be a real estate agent at this moment, but with the coronavirus, the testing center is closed, and they keep pushing it back another month. So I can't even take the test to become a real estate agent, which kind of stinks, but it's also giving me time to work on other things. So as of March, I should have been able to take my real estate test, but with this whole epidemic and pandemics thing going on, I'm not able to. So we're just taking it day by day, kind of going through that. But I will be a real estate agent within the next, hopefully, month or two, and go from there. So back to my job. I'm working at this 9-to-5 job. I'm down in Buffalo. I get I talk with Joe, and I'm like, hey, what's the date we're looking for? So I end up getting the job. We're going to plan on starting in middle of January. So I end up telling my old job that I was leaving, and I was going full-time real estate, and I was super excited, super excited. Like, it's one of those things where you find something and you become so passionate about it. Like, I knew I liked real estate from right when I began with it, but I didn't know that I was gonna make it my life. And I look back on it, and I think like the little steps that I took starting on April 12th 2019, and that was 1 year ago today, or 1 year ago, basically 3 days from now. And where I'm at right now, it's awesome. It was a great year. 26 was a great, I would say it's been one of my best career-wise year. Bought a house, changed companies, and found something that I'm super passionate about. And like becoming passionate about it, I just want to show people how to do it. I want to show people that it's not impossible. It's not impossible to go learn knowledge, take the proper steps, and go do something that's going to dramatically change your life. A year ago today, I could have just said, you know what, I'm just gonna save for another year, and we're gonna get to that point. But a year ago today, I made the choice to be different. I made the choice that I wanted to do something different with my life, and I am so thankful for everybody that's come across my path in the last year that's helped me to get to this point. And I'm just getting started. This is just the start. And with all this free time I have on my hands, I decided I wanted to start documenting some of this stuff, because I'm working on another property to buy, and I'm so excited on how I'm doing it. And I'm so excited to show you guys how to do it. And if you enjoy it, because I'm a regular dude. I'm a regular guy that a year ago today couldn't have told you anything about real estate, but now I can sit here and kind of be knowledgeable. I'm not a pro at all with it, but I know more than the average person now. And it shows what you can do when you change your mindset. That's the biggest thing I came out of this, is your mindset. Is, you know, you could be around people that have a negative mindset, you're going to have a negative mindset. I heard an awesome saying, I think it was yesterday, is you can't change the people around you, but you can change the people around you. So think about that one. I'm just so excited. It's awesome. I hope this channel kind of reaches some people that are interested in real estate, but don't even know how to really begin, because I didn't really know how to begin it. And it's just little steps. It's things that you never expect are what's going to get you to that point. And if I can give one thing of knowledge to somebody that's looking at getting into real estate and wants to kind of start, is just be open, be a people person, go meet people, because you never know when that person right across from you is somebody that could be worth some knowledge, or somebody that could help you out with something. Who would have thought that the person that I bought the company that I bought a house from was 2 months later going to be the company that hired me and got me out of the job that I wasn't super passionate about. It just amazes me what things can happen in this world. And I really want to keep preaching, but I want to save more for next. So the next episode, I'm going to talk more about my first deal, my first triplex, the first 3-unit, how I bought it with an FHA loan, the steps you can do to get to that point, and what else you need to know. Break down the numbers. I want to talk to you about certain things that I did that could help you out. If you're interested, tune in for the next episode. I think it'll be a good one, and I hope you guys have a great day. Stay safe out there with this coronavirus, and make sure you give your families a hug. Tell them you love them. Thanks.